This week on Marketplace Middle East.
Previously, it was trade and investment flows, but even more recently, it is financial flows as well.
The governor of Malaysia's central bank on the ties between the Middle East and the Far East. Plus, brand Islam, how the West is trying to unlock the potential of the Muslim consumer. I'm Charles Hodson, in for John Defterios. Long before the credit crisis set in, investors in the Middle East were looking for new opportunities and investments and turning their attention eastwards. It's a relationship that stems from the historic spice trade route from Southeast Asia to the Middle East. Today, governments are using those trade ties and Islamic links to tap into a larger market consisting of 1.5 billion Muslims worldwide. John Defterios reports from the World Islamic Economic Forum in Kuala Lumpur on the people and the companies hoping to tap into a fast-expanding market.
These government leaders represent part of a rapidly growing market of 1.5 billion Muslims, nearly half of which reside here in Asia. The challenge has been to get these countries to think about each other when it comes to economic development.
Muslim nations now have a good opportunity to achieve greater growth. But we must overcome the impediments to investing in one another's economy by making our economies attractive to all investors.
That call to action came from the president of the most populous Muslim nation and a voice on the global stage as a member of the G20. Here in Kuala Lumpur, the host city for the forum, the skyline is easily identified by the Petronas Towers, a sample of iconic branding. Leaders here want to develop a brand for the Islamic market. After all, nearly a quarter of the world's population is Muslim. 5 years into building a policy platform, the World Islamic Economic Forum wants to facilitate trade and finance from Jeddah to Jakarta and all points in between. One of the most pressing issues is shrinking the wealth gap within this Islamic market.
The top 20 countries in the organization of the Islamic Conference contribute 90% of the OIC's GDP, whilst the remaining 37 countries contribute only 10%.
The ties are strong. Trade between the Middle East and Asia on the historical spice route goes back to the 15th century. That trade was also responsible for planting the seeds of Islam in this corner of the world. This 21st century gathering is about transferring best practices and capital.
We will never thought of doing business in Indonesia, but we have started like coal mining in Indonesia, which is maybe 5 years ago we could have not done that.
Just ahead of this forum, Qatar's Prime Minister stopped in KL to ink a $10 billion agreement to develop joint energy projects and investments with Malaysia. Gulf countries are expected to earn $420 billion this year alone from oil and gas and are seeking higher returns.
Islamic funds and Muslim funds are very important source for our future development. And we start up a number of projects with some of the Gulf countries.
Beyond oil and gas, many say the next hurdle is creating global corporate leaders and common standards to represent a new type of brand with an Islamic twist. John Defterios for Marketplace Middle East, Kuala Lumpur.
Malaysia is one of the key centres for Islamic finance. Nearly 2/3 of the sukuks outstanding worldwide were issued by Malaysian companies or the Malaysian government. And Bank Negara Malaysia, the central bank, hopes to boost interest in Islamic financial products further. John Defterios spoke to the governor, Tan Sri Zeti Akhtar Aziz, about developing the Islamic brand.
The financial system that is developing in our part of the world and in the Middle East is increasing connectivity, and this will facilitate trade and investment activity. So this has been an important factor that has enhanced connectivity. Previously, it was trade and investment flows, but even more recently, it is financial flows as well.
Did the light go on, albeit slowly, that trade should be facilitated in the Muslim world, so to speak? Many of the sovereign funds, for example, were looking west first before they looked east for investment.
That is true, because I felt the fault perhaps lies with us for not raising the awareness of what Asia and countries like Malaysia have to offer.
After we've had 2 defaults in the Islamic finance space, is it time to get to a global standard where we're comparing like for like in terms of these products?
The key important aspect of it is that it meets all the Sharia requirements, and that is critical. And the second part is it needs to be very well documented. So in our market, that is what these are the key aspects, the documentation that supports these transactions. And in our market, we also have credit enhancement and potential to undertake restructuring of debt.
It's almost like we're living in 2 different worlds right now. You have sluggish European growth or recovery and a very different picture here in Asia. From your vantage point, can they keep the Eurozone together with the crisis that they're facing today?
When we experienced the crises, I would say that we came together very quickly to put together a rescue package for Thailand. I remember flying to Tokyo, and between Indonesia and us, we led the package to be put together, and that happened very quickly. And I believe being prompt is important, because in these kind of situations, deterioration happens very rapidly. And of course, the market now overreacts very often and then exaggerates the consequences of these developments. So between Asia and other parts of the world, even the IMF has forecasts that going forward into 2014 that there will be increasingly growth disparity, divergence between emerging markets in general and Asia in particular with some of the advanced economies.
As you know, some are even saying that the euro can't survive this process, and it's all about reliability and credibility and sustainability. What is your vantage point from where you see it today, though?
I think it's very important that the Eurozone does survive, and I think that the leadership there has every commitment to ensure that it does, and I have great confidence that they will come forward to address all the issues that they are confronted with.
Up next, the battle for profits. Military leaders get a close-up look at the next generation of combat technology.